Ladies and gentlemen, dames und herren, mesdames et messieurs, welcome to the Vincent Charles Project on this lovely Sunday evening. I'm your host, Vincent Charles, and I would like to introduce my guest. Some of you know her and follow her. Some of you love her and follow her anyway. I'd like to say hello to Miss Wednesday. How are you doing today?
Oh, reasonably well, and you?
Oh, absolutely capital. Couldn't be better. I'm feeling capital. Yes. Oh, Sunday.
Well, at
Professional
least
sport.
here it's a bright, cheerful Sunday. A little chilly, but it's
Yeah, it's surprising how, it's the coming onto the second week of October, and I think I've only worn my sweater like twice in like the last week. Go outside and it's 40 degrees in the morning, go back inside, throw a cup of coffee down my neck, go outside, sun's out, and it's already 75 degrees. I'm like, shit. Oh, I can handle it. I prefer the heat over the cold anyway. I'm a
yeah.
miserable man in the winter. Ugh, because I've got
Yeah. My hell will be frozen.
yeah, and she's read her Dante. Yes, awesome. And yeah, because I've got like metal bits in me and artificial bits here and there, and when it gets cold, they hurt like a son of a bitch, and
Yeah.
I
Oh, boy.
easily I easily meet or exceed my maximum daily dosage of ibuprofen during the winter. So
The magic of vitamin I.
yes, that'll probably kill me at some point in the immediate future. But
It's go on.
we lives and we learns. Anyway, let's see. Let's switch over to the chat bar. Okay. And no one's talking but us. That's cool.
Okay.
No problem. We will talk and hopefully people will listen. So, you are a lawyer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you got that thing. I take it you were the ideological firebrand youth who wanted to go into law and
No, not at all. It was sort of I decided to do a midlife career change, and I went to law school when I was 40.
no
So,
shit.
yep.
That is
Yeah.
awesome. Holy shit.
Yeah, but there were so many other options, and I really should have thought that through. But here we are.
Don't feel bad. I'm 57, I'm
Oh,
retired, and I'm bored, and I still don't know what I want to do.
well, you can always
So,
go to law school. The oldest guy in the class was in his 60s.
yeah, I remember that. And I was reading something, when was it? It was last summer. There was a woman out in California who passed the bar. She was 89 years old.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. It's,
well,
and he had no intention. I don't think he actually took the bar. He just had always wanted to do it. And he realized that, why not? And so he was there, and he had a grand old time. When you're older, it's actually kind of fun. Um, you get to watch these sort of, because most people have just finished college, so they're 23 and they've never done anything else ever, and so they're very easily freaked out by things that adults aren't afraid of.
oh,
Like
shit.
people yelling at you. It's like,
Oh, dude.
"What?
I would
Okay."
pay, I would pay cashy money to see that. I had my ass chewed by a lieutenant general. I can deal with anything a professor throws at me, please.
Well, my law school, they actually still threw things at you, literally. He was a retired appellate judge who taught contracts, and he would heave erasers at people who weren't prepared. It was awesome.
Oh, awesome. That reminds me of the
This dust cloud. It was brilliant.
oh, dude, that reminds me of the stuff we used to do. When I was still in the service, I reclassified. I used to do communications work. I was in UHF communications, and I decided because of the lack of promotion opportunities to transfer into the medical field. So I got that approved, and I went to Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio for 16 weeks. And at this point, I had already been in the Army for 8 years. So going to school, you're like, wow, okay, this is cake. I could do this in my sleep. And you go in with all these kids who just graduated basic training, and they still got that new private shine on them. And and apparently during basic training, they didn't learn how to keep their eyes open in a classroom environment. And so I got along with most of my instructors because most of them were truthfully not that much older than me. So go outside, smoking and joking, talking to them. It's like, you got to do something about keeping these kids awake. So I'm like, well, there is something we can do. And he's like, what do you propose? So I handed him my laser pointer off my key ring, and I had a red Sharpie in my pocket. It's like, all you got to do is mark the target, son. She's like, Roger that, gotcha. So, we're sitting in classroom and we're talking about the wonders of the circulatory system. And I look around and I see this kid with a dot on his forehead, and he is honk shooing like a motherfucker. He is snoring away. Doesn't care who hears him. So I walked up to him, or rather crept up behind him. People who are awake, they're seeing what's going on. They're like, oh my God, what's he going to do? What's he going to do? So I just uncapped my red Sharpie, and I pulled his head back, and I acted like I cut his throat. I'm like, stay alert, stay alive, bitch. And everybody lost their shit. And man, it was good times. Good times. But I don't think you can do that in law school. So
You'd be surprised. Probably not now, and probably not at an ABA school. They have standards and rules, and they expect you to be, civilized, which it doesn't produce good lawyers.
no.
Certainly doesn't prepare them for the practice.
No, most of the lawyers that I've met are the kind of people who like how can I put this?
My friend Dave used to call them the worst sort of paste-eating nerds he'd ever encountered.
No, it's not only that, but people with very finely attuned killer instincts.
There are
would
those.
they would happily hamstring you if you're both running away from a dinosaur. He'd shoot you in the leg. I don't have to be faster than a dinosaur. I just have to be faster than you. And
Yes.
yeah, so
Yeah, dirty tricks. Yeah, there's a lot of people who really get into that.
yeah,
Sadists. Yes, there's a lot of sadists. But yeah, it's it's a weird because you have to deal with it's either your clients or opposing counsel, but somebody's going to be awful, and usually it's both of them. But so people have this idea, they've sort of picked it up from the general culture, that it's perfectly okay, acceptable, and somehow they're entitled to be abusive and horrible to their lawyer. And it's like,
yeah.
It's like, you can be horrible to the other lawyer, but maybe you ought to be nice to me.
Ordy in the chat with the Jurassic Park quote. Nicely done. Nicely done, my friend. I thought you were going to come out there with it like a Lionel Hutz quote. It's like, I'm ready for the case. I caught an episode of Matlock last night. Of course, I missed most of it, but I think I got the gist of it. Lionel Hutz. Ugh. Everything.
Not exactly inaccurate. You do run across those guys.
Oh, geez. Some of the legal videos that I've seen on. Okay, yeah, already. I'll give you time. You've got 49 minutes, brother. Wow me. I've seen like people arguing. What was that one video I saw? They were arguing in district court over a Second Amendment case, and you could look at this lawyer, tell him, A, he was shitting peach pits, he was scared. B, he did absolutely no preparation, and C, the judge was about to eat him for lunch, and the judge did eat him for lunch, and it was amazing. I swear to God, I have a thick skin, and if I had to deal with an ass chewing like that guy did, oh my God, I'd be stuck burning a shotgun the next day. Seriously.
No, that's just gonna happen. That's why you're supposed to be, ready. But that's there. Sometimes it's not that you're not prepared. The old saying, this one's just, if you have the facts on your side, you pound on the facts. If you have the law on your side, pound on the law. You have neither, you pound on the table.
Awesome.
So sometimes you're just shoveling, you got nothing, and you're just talking till they tell you to stop. And somebody's going to yell at you, but that just happens.
Sweet. Hell, I could do that.
Yeah. Just sort of,
those ambulances won't chase themselves.
It's always kind of fun if you can make everybody laugh. That's always good. If you can make the judge laugh, that doesn't happen very often, but you get the whole, because usually the only people that are listening to you, particularly on motion days, is a bunch of other lawyers. And so if you make them laugh, then you're probably doing all right. So,
oh, sweet.
So and it's a competitive field for being just an unmitigated wise ass. So yeah.
Now, those people who know me will be looking at they'll be seeing that SpongeBob and Patrick gif where they're thinking and swaps back and forth.
If you can graduate high school, you can graduate law school. It's not hard. It's just the way they do it that's hard. But the material itself is not complicated. You can do it. I've told you this before.
I hate to go all the time, but yeah, But it's something to think about. I mean, I've wasted the last 20 years of my life, right?
Well, it's useful stuff. It's contract. Everybody ends up needing to know something about contracts, so you might as well, learn it for real.
Yeah, and I figure instead of me paying a divorce lawyer and putting her kids through school, I figure I could make the money.
You don't want to do domestic work. Nobody wants to do domestic work. It's the worst.
Yeah.
But yeah, the guy that taught domestic we used to joke that he was the most qualified domestic relations professor you could ever have, because he had been both plaintiff and defendant multiple times, and he was a sitting domestic relations judge.
Nice.
So he knew all about it. Anything you needed to know.
Yeah, I've been through enough divorces. Yeah, I could pull it off.
I think so.
Okay, sweet. And
it's a nice sort of, this is your way to segue into your more standard topics about movies, which is no movies about lawyers are accurate. Period.
Oh, I know that it's the same thing. No movies are really accurate about anything.
No.
Anything. Lawyers, yeah, they're not accurate. Professional soldiers, yeah, no, they're not accurate. Movies about aliens, I'm sure they wouldn't be accurate, but we won't know for sure until the government finally fesses up that we've been in contact with them. But hey, that's a subject for Orty to talk about. Shameless plug. Shameless plug, Orty. Okay. And of course, you being in the area where you are, in the environs of Knoxville, we have to discuss one thing, and I think you know what that thing is.
Yeah, it's orange, and it's about 4 blocks that way. Yeah.
Collegiate sport ball. Tell us what happens on any given Saturday during a home game for people who don't live in a college town.
Okay, well, you end up with, well, in this case, 100. It's 100 and it's not quite 120,000 seats. I think it's 119 something, close enough. And they show up, and like yesterday, apparently they did the grid, so they're gridded out in orange and white squares, so it looks like the end zone, and that's the whole 120,000 drunk, crazy people. So yeah, they have a good time.
Oh, I'm
They had
glad they do.
the Navy, because the stadium sits on the river, and so people from all over, all of these boats come in, and they'll come in several days early, and they'll tie up. And for the first few games when it's really warm, there's there's hundreds of boats. It's the strangest thing. And so then they sailgate is what they call it, and
Hmm.
it's a yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, no doubt.
But this town has a football problem. Well, no, I don't know if they could. I think they enjoy suffering from this particular illness, but it gets loud and it stays loud, and people talk about stadiums being loud. Yeah, that one's like really loud.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm not from here, so I was used to bad football and nobody cared. And then I came up here, and it's different. They're serious about this. So yeah.
Okay, because I've been to Knoxville. I don't really know if you could say driving through Knoxville is actually being in Knoxville. I've driven through it like 5 or 6 times, but, I actually went there when I was younger, with my parents. We went to the World's Fair in 1982,
Everybody did.
and I'm waiting for Orty to make a joke about the wig sphere.
They've got that thing open there. For a while they put a bar in it, and the problem was that somebody it was a bar, and somebody got drunk and they knocked a table over, and it went through, because it's round, it's a big ball, and it went through the glass. And that glass is some kind of weird special stuff. It took them forever to make a new panel, so they
Oh,
closed the
jeez.
bar.
Oh,
Now it's back to just being a tourist thing where you go up and you have a nice view of the city.
okay, so they don't sell wigs. Okay. Make
No, no.
make
The
a
the
note.
wi- the the funniest thing about that is that there was a 3-story wig store over on the main street within sight of that thing. So it was like when that Simpsons episode came out, it was like, well, close, close. It's-
Although I still think that they should put the welcome to sign in Tennessee. It's gotta be Tennessean is tenna believin'. So, yeah, because if I was governor, that's what I would do, but I'm not governor.
well, I remember when the part of the reason that Tennessee has such a reputation for being a horrifically corrupt state is there when the World's Fair ended, they had to wait until the World's Fair stopped and all the hotels were empty. And I think it was like the same week, as soon as there were enough hotel rooms available, they filled every hotel room in Knoxville with FBI auditors to come in for the Butcher Bank collapse. And so the Butcher banking scandal is still to this day, after the big crashes in '08, it's the 5th largest banking scandal crash in US history.
Damn.
So the weirdest part, they made that movie American Hustle. And I remember when that one happened too. I remember Dab Scam. And that was at the same time. I was like, they picked the wrong story, because the
Yeah, they
whole
did.
Butcher banking thing was just crazy. I guess nobody would have believed it was real.
Probably not. Because, oh God, I remember Abscam. Jeez, that was all over the TV.
Well, but the butcher thing was, I mean, he was almost governor. I mean, that was the whole thing, was he was running for governor, and Alexander beat him, and he was from Knoxville. They're both from Knoxville. That was the weird part. The whole rest of the state, we were all like, why are both people running from the same town? You know, that's weird. And
Alarm bells are ringing.
but it was, yeah, it was it would still make a great movie, but there again, nobody would believe it was real. I mean, he was doing stuff. There was, and I've heard, and I know some of these things are true because I know people who were there when some of this weird stuff happened, and they were at some sort of party he was throwing, and the centerpiece was big piles of cash. He had several $1 million in cash stacked on top of the table in the middle of dinner.
And, and and nobody invites me to these kind of parties.
So yeah, the personalities, and I met the man. I went to his 80th birthday party.
Holy shit!
And nice guy, very used car salesman kind of vibe off of him, but a nice fellow. And the personalities involved in the whole story are so big that Hollywood, they'd have to dial them down to make a believable story, which is kind of creepy.
Well, I don't know. Considering how gullible most people are, you'd think, might get away with it. But,
Oh, but I mean, it's there was a book written about it. I haven't read it. I've heard that it's not very good because it tried to make it more normal, and nothing about it is normal.
Don't whitewash it. Just put it all out there. Let the viewer decide. Okay. Sorry, I'm out on the front porch. It's a good thing I don't have the camera on because you'd see the trees getting blown around. It's very windy here tonight. And
okay. So see, I thought that the camera thing was okay. Never.
Yeah, the sound quality probably changed because I've got my pop filter on my mic, but the wind's blowing. And also that I'm smoking a cigarette doesn't help matters anyway, so. This webcast has been brought to you by Marlboro. No.
Well, it's one of those things. It can seem like very weird, that okay, so my utter lack of social skills and deciding to sort of intervene randomly in people's conversations on the Twitter, and now I'm here.
There you go. That's part of the reason why I asked you to come on the show, because it was, some of the stuff you come up with is just like, holy shit, wow, what, really? It's part like it's part three-ring circus, part docudrama, part hard-hitting news show. Really, when you look at it, it's all across the board, and that's what's so cool about the stuff that you post. And if you're listening, follow her because she's awesome. But let's see, let's get out of the wind here for a second. And
I'm just one of those people who's been, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse. Stuff happens to me that it would be easier to believe if it was fiction. And that's and it's always been that way. It's not new. So I'm kind of hoping at some juncture it will stop, but it's not yet.
I have a feeling when it stops, you're going to start getting bored. You're like, oh,
No. That's like people. I've been lecturing people my whole life. Don't give your kid a weird name. I grew up with a weird name. Don't do that to some poor kid. Don't.
I don't care if you liked Game of Thrones. You do not name a child that.
Let's do it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, there are two sides of me. One is the side that I show people on Twitter, and it's the guy. He entertains people. He goes out and he does this. He eats exotic foods, and if you saw my bank book, you would know for a fact that I'm getting these exotic foods on a budget because I know where to look. And if you're in the Philadelphia area, go to the World Market off of Roosevelt Boulevard up in Red Lion. It's a store run entirely by Russians. And when I was in the service, I took a course on symbology and like ritual tattooing and stuff like that. And I could tell you that 7 of the guys who work there, although they're old and they still have steel dentistry like they used to use in the Soviet Union before it fell. I'm going to say 7. 7 of these guys were in jail for felonies. 2 of them were murderers,
Yeah.
and the rest of them.
And they've got all the tattoos to show it.
Yes, tattooing for them is very
Yeah.
symbolic. And
Yes.
yeah, these guys, you can look across their hands. It's like, yeah, this guy went to jail for gambling. Oh, okay. That guy smacked his wife around. Okay. Oh, that guy's a smuggler. And it's awesome because these guys are so cool. They walk up to you, they're like, how are you doing today? I'm like, hey, I'm doing great. He's like, that's good. That's good. Come have some kvass, which is basically bread beer. And it's fucking awesome. And there are recipes on how to make it on YouTube. So kvass, Kvass. All you need is rye bread, some yeast, and a bit of thyme. But I digress. This place has everything. I can get not top of the line caviar, not beluga or anything like that, but you can get salmon roe the size of ball bearings, and you can get it there super cheap. And so it's like, yeah, I'm going there. I'm getting that.
Oh yeah. Well, there's always that sort of anybody. If you want to spend money, you can get anything you want. But what's the fun of that? There's no art to that. There's that. That comes back to those 2 types of people: the ones who want to tell you how much they paid, and the ones who want to tell you how little. And I'm in that second category. I don't. Why would I pay retail? I have a small allergy to that. So
exactly. There you go. But okay, we've talked about Russians. We've talked about college football. Now we're going to go to a phase of the show I'm going to introduce gradually. It's a bit like if you're familiar with a program in England, a radio program in England called Desert Island Discs. And what these people do is they take 10 albums that they absolutely can't live without, and that's the only thing you have, and you're stuck on this island with them. What would be the albums that you pick? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it, except I'm going to do it with films. And having somebody list 10 films in a show like this is insane. So we'll only do 3. So counting down your third, what would be the third biggest movie in your life that you couldn't do without?
Well, think you mean I'm just not ever going to get sick of them. That's the trick.
Yeah.
I get sick of things. But
okay, you're talking to a guy who watches Casablanca twice a week.
Well, I watch Lion and Winter a lot,
and has done for the past 25 years.
But yeah, probably Lion and Winter. That's a good movie.
Okay,
it's got my favorite line ever in it. Katharine Hepburn. She's arguing with Peter O'Toole, and he tells her she'll get whatever it is she wants. When pigs fly. She turns around at him and says, "That'll be pork in the treetops by morning."
That's awesome because you said Katharine Hepburn, and I was like, before that, I was like, were you like the original or the remake they did about 20 years ago? So that answered my question.
They
But
did a remake?
yeah, they did a remake with Patrick Stewart, and I'm not sure who played the Queen. I think it was Glenn Close. I
Hmm.
think maybe,
She's looking
but
for the part, but okay.
yeah, but it wasn't received very well. So
Yeah.
yeah, I guess that's why most people haven't heard of it. But
Oh, the original. Look at it. Look who's in the original. Everybody in it's magnificent.
yeah, exactly. Even Nigel Terry.
Well, I had a teenage Timothy Dalton, so you know.
Yeah, that's still still best Bond. Yeah, I said it, and I'll stand by it too. Um, yeah, I haven't seen that one in God forever. I mean, is that even streaming? Let me look.
I don't know. I've got it on DVD. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I've got all of my top ones on disc. Let's
Well,
see.
until of course they decide to screw around with the formatting again. That seems to
Yeah,
be. I can't tell you. There's so many albums I've owned in so many different formats, and it's just like, you know what, you guys suck. We're going to stick with CDs till you stop making CD players. I guess.
yeah,
I used to have a huge amount of vinyl, and I just got sick of moving it. It's so bloody heavy.
and they've got it on Prime, but it's only to rent.
Hmm.
Hmm. I don't know. I might take a poke at it later.
But that was good, and I don't know. I seem to whenever Fifth Element's on, I can't turn that one off.
Oh, jeez. Oh, that's fucking amazing movie. That, I remember because oh god, what was it? 96, I think. 96 or 97. Um, I remember because I went to a theater. I took my son to see Star Trek: First Contact when it was in the theater. So we're sitting there, we got our popcorn and everything, and the preview for that shows up, and I was like, holy shit! And I look at my son, and it was like his eyes are like as big as pie plates. He's like, we've got to see this movie. So yeah, when it came out, we went to go see that movie, and then we stayed in the theater and we watched it again. You what the hell, dude? Ain't nobody gonna kick us out. Nobody gonna yell at us. And it was amazing. It was oh shit. And if you look at it, there's a lot of very famous French actors in there that not a lot of people know about because they don't watch as many French films as I do. But the guy who played "Give Me the Cash," "Give Me the Cash," the guy who tried to rob Corbin Dallas, Matthew Kasovitz, he is a very successful director. He's done a lot of films, in France and in Hollywood. And the woman who played Plava Laguna, May Wen, she's a French actress. She just did a movie, Madame Barry, with Johnny Depp about, I think it was Louis XVI.
Yeah,
Uh,
girlfriend.
girlfriend, yeah, and that was an excellent
Yeah.
movie.
Huh.
And
Well,
yeah,
that would be easy to put together a hell of a story around too. So.
oh yeah, and there's a bunch of bit players in there. If you know what you're looking for, and I look at these people, I'm like, oh, holy shit, he was on a cop show I watched the other day. And it's like, oh my god, he was in that movie, and yeah, it's just amazing.
Well, it doesn't have any real plot holes in it. It's very well. I mean, it's got a complicated, interesting story, and it's very well put together. And there's not a lot of holes in it, which is unusual, particularly for science fiction. And it's just very well done. And it's got Gary Oldman in it. And honestly, I was a kid and I've watched him. I saw him in Sid and Nancy because I was in high school, and of course, you're going to watch that.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I said, I don't know who that guy is, but that guy's amazing. And
yeah,
so and then he was hard to find. He was the Where's Waldo guy, because it's like, okay, his name's in the credits. Oh, he's a chameleon.
yeah. He's
Now
one of
I
the
gotta play the find him.
But yeah, I remember because Luc Besson did a movie not too long ago, another science fiction movie, Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. It was streaming not too long ago, and it's kind of like the same thing, like the same vibe as Fifth Element, but it's an absolutely horrible movie. So don't watch it. Just saying. Visually, it's awesome, and I think the only thing that's even worth seeing that movie about it, Clive Owen's in it, and he turns into William Shatner. He's just chewing the scenery right and left, and it's fucking amazing to see. It's funny as hell. But I think that's the only redeeming quality about that movie. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Well, there's something to be said for Shatner. Even though he's always late.
Yeah.
When you go and you're trying to do the whole, oh, hey, wait a minute, I paid to get my picture. And he's late. He's always late. So.
Yep. Number 2. Tell us number 2.
That was number 2.
That was number 2?
Flying in Winter, Fifth Element.
Oh, okay. Well,
so now it's 3. That's a very good question. Things I don't get sick of. Well, something I've been rewatching again lately that I absolutely loved when it came out, and I still like it, is and now the name's gone right out of my head. It's sitting right over there. Oh well. Hazards of getting old. I can't see it from here. Oh,
just don't
The
start yelling
Commitments.
at clouds.
The Commitments. Yeah.
Okay. That I think maybe I saw that like
Irish and loud, and they're trying to do a soul band in Dublin, and it's yeah.
Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, Cole Meany's in that one.
Yeah.
Yep. Hashtag O'Brien must suffer.
But so yeah, those 3 have absolutely nothing in common. But yeah,
It's not supposed to. They're not supposed to fall into any kind of pattern or anything like that. I mean, like with me, I'll watch. I prefer older films. I'll watch anything that's like made before like 1985. Regardless. And there are a few films that have been made, recently that I enjoy, but nothing that I would want to subject myself to repeat viewings. I mean, like I'll watch Casablanca twice a week. I'll watch The Thin Man twice a week. I'll watch The Maltese Falcon. I think the only old movie that everyone considers a classic that I didn't enjoy at all was Citizen Kane.
Yeah,
it's just, yeah, it was just,
Touch of Evil's good.
I'm sorry, what was that?
If you're talking about Orson Welles, what is it? Touch of Evil?
Oh yeah. With Charlton Heston. Yeah, that's an amazing movie.
That's much better.
Oh yeah. Especially when you see him walking around Venice, and you see Venice like it wasn't like the 50s, and then you look at Venice Beach now, and it's like, yeah. Anyway. Which is it's a shame, because I remember it, because I used to have family by marriage, but I used to have family out in California, and we'd go see them during the summer. We'd spend a couple of weeks with them and stuff, and they lived in San Diego, but we would always drive up to Los Angeles and go spend a day or two up there. And Los Angeles, even as far back as like 2005, it was light years different than it is now.
It's been a very rapid decline.
Yeah, extremely rapid. I mean, it's like in the space of 20 years, it's gone from, wow, this is cool, this is awesome, I could live here, And now it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you couldn't
No.
pay me to live here. No.
Well, and it's the weird thing about LA, and this was kind of I was surprised. I don't like the West. I just don't. Um, it's like brown and inhospitable, and I don't. I just don't. I'm from here. We live. This is a this is the jungle. This is a temperate rainforest. You know, we get the same amount of rain you get in the jungle. It just gets cold here. The dry thing is weird, and I don't like California generally. I agree with Sinatra. It's cold and it's damp, but Los Angeles really is Nashville with a tan.
Yeah.
It was so
That's
familiar. I was like, oh, I know this place. I
what
understand
did
how
what did
shallow
somebody
this is.
say?
I get it.
It's like, what did somebody say? You turn off the sprinklers and the town would turn into a desert overnight.
Yeah, yeah, it'll go back to itself. But I don't know. I just and people from the West, they come here and they don't like it because they feel like they're molding. And it's like, well, yeah, it's a little green here. Everything everything gets a little. Well, you lived in Georgia, you know. It's hot and it's wet and yeah. So
These are trees. Yes, this is
stand
rain.
still and the kudzu will eat you.
Yes, this is rain. It happens occasionally, and it's quite wet.
But it's yeah, it's a. I can understand the appeal of the West, and some of it is beautiful, but I couldn't live there. You know, it's just a.
And Ordy, being our resident Californian, is immediately chiming in. Being in the California desert, nothing would change for me. Yes, that is true. But of course, Ordy lives in a more tolerable part of California, where he's not anywhere around the city.
It really is just the cities. It
Yeah,
really is, and because you get out in the woods in California, and it's the same. You know, nothing seems to have changed much, um,
it's the same
which is
thing with
good.
New York. I mean, people, come up to you and they say they're from New York, and instantly you assume they're from New York City, but there's an
The state
entire
is huge.
state, and there's 38 million people who live there, and yeah, they all don't live in New York in Manhattan.
No, and
Thank
the
God.
state is very nice. You get
Yeah,
out, you know, and it gets redneck as hell real quick. So
yeah.
it's very familiar.
I used to tell people, the only difference between upstate New York and Georgia is the dirt's red in Georgia. That's it.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Oh, maybe the accent. Yeah. Other than that, that's it.
Well, the accent is thick in both directions. It's just a different one. I offended a friend of mine. He was from where is he from? Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and he was on about something, and he was going to buy something. I can't remember what it was, and I said, "Jesus, that's kind of the that's you're going to see that in every trailer park around here." And he looked at me funny, and he goes, "Well, no." And I said, "Look, the only difference is that the Blue Eye Rocks in your neighborhood had the guy was probably named Vinny, whereas down here his name's Daryl, but his girlfriend's still named Dawn."
And instead of an Adidas tracksuit, he's wearing Levi's and a Budweiser T-shirt, and he's got a mullet.
As opposed to a rat tail. So
And gold chains as far as the eye can see.
Oh,
Yeah, I have a couple of those D's, Dem, and Does guys in my neighborhood. So yeah, I know.
yeah, my sister married one of them. So
Oh, 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 I
yeah.
I feel for you. I Yeah, I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Well, his children make fun of him, which is entertaining. Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah, my niece is fond of saying things like, "Yeah, my dad says that, he walks the dog." Don't make fun of your father. That's my job. But
Got to go out to Long Island.
well, that would be where he's from, and
jeez.
everything. Yeah, it's all right. Everything's all right. Yes, high praise is, yes, all right.
Oh Jesus! I remember that. Oh, that kind of hits home because my uncle Benny, my dad's brother, lived in Long Island, and oh shit, I forgot what the heck. It was a little podunk town. It wasn't too far off the LIR, so it was easy to find. But yeah, I think we only visited him like twice, but he would always come. We lived in Westchester, so he would always come to see us. So yeah, Long Island, no place like it. Thank God.
Small favors, yes.
And it's like, you look at it, and it's like Long Island, and people have their mailing address. It's like blah blah blah, Long Island zip code. It's like it should be a state. I mean,
Well,
technically, you have to put Long Island, then New York, then the zip code. Come on.
well, you get up, you get up there in that original 13, and states are tiny little things.
Yeah.
Georgia, the penal colony, was the biggest one.
So I don't live in a state, my dear. I live in a commonwealth. Thank you.
Like Kentucky.
Yeah. Or Virginia.
Well, there's only the three. Yeah.
Massachusetts.
Oh, that's right. I always forget about that one. I don't know why. I actually like Massachusetts. Well, I like Massachusetts. I don't like their.
I remember a amusement park I used to go to when I was visiting my cousins up in Connecticut. I would go spend the summer with them. They lived in Storrs, not far from the University of Connecticut. And there was a amusement park called Riverside Park, and it was in a town, I think maybe 10 minutes inside the Massachusetts border. And we would go there, and my uncle would just blow huge amounts of coin, and we'd stuff ourselves with food. And they had at the time, they had the only looping roller coaster in the Northeast, and everyone was like, oh my God. And you ride it, and you're like, so that's what the big deal was about. Yeah, okay. Cool. Okay. I don't need to ride it again.
Yeah, I'm not well, back in the day, there was one at in Nashville that was one of those old wooden ones.
The wood ones are the best ones. They're the best ones.
And it was on the fairgrounds, so the maintenance was awesome. So it really was kind of that Russian roulette on rails, and that thing was ridiculous. And so nothing else. None of the rest of these are cool. It's like you're right here. They've got these big safety things all around you. You can't see anything, and if you can't see the curves coming, well, it's not scary.
Yeah, exactly. And I saw one. There was a roller coaster in England. I forgot the name of it. And I think it's near Brighton, which is like a huge amusement pier. And like it's one of the tallest in the world, but it's also one of the steepest first drops. And I was looking at it, like this guy actually took a video as he was riding it, and I think it goes up something like it was over 100 meters at least. And the dive, I mean, they're almost going vertical on it, and I'm like, oh my God. But then I remember it's in England, and I don't want to go to England again, so no.
Yeah, I don't find amusement parks amusing. Now, I do like the pop-up things that show up in parking lots, because you're testing. It's okay. There's going to be a way more metal fatigue, and the guys running it, they're clearly methed out, so the odds of death here are a whole lot higher. So that's a lot more interesting than going to some park where they actually
Yeah, being a lawyer, I'm sure you can find several actionable things there. So you're like,
I
yeah,
don't have any
okay.
insurance, so what does it matter? I mean, that's actually putting the assumption of the risk back in the game.
That's damn. That's damn it. And there was a fair up at the church a couple of months ago. I should have went just to watch, just to see if something happened. But
Yeah, it never does, though. Yeah,
I know.
those are the ones that are fine. So,
See, I'm the guy who drives real slow, driving past a road accident. So yeah,
uh,
yeah,
but no, it's you have you don't have the safety. It's impressive. It really is impressive. The engineering involved in all of this safety stuff. Um, but still, it's that's not what those things are supposed to be about.
yeah. They're supposed to be about fun and all that other good stuff. Yeah,
Well,
but
you put too
sometimes,
much nerf on it, it takes all the thrill out of it.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Who'd
and
want to live
it's
forever anyway?
well, and it would kill you immediately. It's the things that would only hurt you that are scary.
Yeah, this is true.
It's like I don't know, people who are afraid of flying. I'm like, why are you afraid of flying? You're not going to survive it if it crashes.
Yeah,
What?
see, yeah. I think the only thing about that is having to deal with a plane full of screaming passengers and people panicking and stuff like that. And I think that's what probably puts most people off. I know it would put me off. I mean, if like I was flying in a plane with like Mickey Blowtorch, who's if he's listening, he's getting his pilot's license. So if him and I were up and all of a sudden the engine went out, and I'm with him and maybe another person, no panic.
No.
Burn in, bro. It's been an
Well,
honor. Crash.
you can land a small plane with no engines. In fact, that's usually part of your exam. They cut the engines while you're flying, so that
Hmm.
to test you to see how you're going to react and to make sure you understand what you're supposed to do next. So they play engine out. That's part of getting your license. So
Hey, you learn something new every day. Holy shit.
yeah, I know. I know lots of stuff about lots. Well, I know a little bit about lots of stuff, and then
Yes, that's it.
a few things I know a whole lot about. But I know a little bit about just the truly staggering amount of just random things.
Yeah, exactly. All the minutia floating around in my head. If I could make money off it, I'd be a billionaire. But
Well, you're trying this whatever this is. So what do you call this? Is this internet radio? Is this what is this? I mean, I figured it
for
out.
for all intents and purposes, this is a podcast. A podcast is a
Mhm.
very general term these days. I mean, people can do video, or some people, back in the day they used to do just audio, and people would be having discussions about everything and nothing. And as the technology evolves, the terminology hasn't really. This is still just a basic podcast.
Well, they're still using the little logo for a floppy disk to save. And I guarantee you that 90% of the people that click on that little save thing have no idea what that is.
And just think about it, when our generation finally dies off, nobody's going to know. Nobody will know.
Well, that's what was it? It was a Heinlein novel. It was a Children of the Sun, and they're on the spaceship, and there was a mutiny, and they lost. They don't know they're on a spaceship. They forgot. They're several generations later, and they don't know where they are. They don't know where they're going, and they have thrown the encyclopedias and all of the manuals that show how to work everything into the reactor to keep the ship going.
Oh, Jesus.
And so now they're just kind of winging it.
Jeez.
But it's a great little story.
Oh, man. I don't think I could read. I'd just be constantly laughing if I read that.
Well, and
Which,
when they realized that, oh shit, we're on a ship. Yeah.
oh, jeez. Oh, and we are coming up on that time. Shit. Thank you so much for coming on this show. I've had a blast, really.
Well, as I said, I shovel well. It is a job requirement. I can talk extemporaneously about pretty much anything for however long needs to be filled. Hope I didn't
Um,
bore anybody to tears or frighten them off for coming on your show next time. You got to get.
no, not at all, not at all. But what you can do is tell people where we can find you on any social media that you might possess.
Yeah, just on the Twitter or whatever the hell
On
they're calling it now.
TwitX, which is what I call it. There will always be like a twit part in there, but I'm never going to call it X. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, the main thing is you got to put the in front of it, so that kind of keeps it down.
The Twitters, yeah. TEH to Twitter, yeah. Shows that you're down with the homies. Yes. Oh, as I said, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on here. I had a lot of fun tonight, and I hope you did too.
Yes, yes.
And ladies and gentlemen, and Ordy piping in,
Well,
fun show you too. Thank you, Ordy.
this
Ordy
will
is
encourage others of your listeners and followers to
yes,
participate in this
yeah.
podcast.
That's what I want to try and do. I want to try and get away from what everyone else is doing, and I want to grab a follower or two who I find interesting and want to talk to and want to learn about, invite them on, and hopefully everybody else will see the reason why I follow them and listen to them. So, hey, it is what it is. God, I hate when people say that. I'm going to smack myself. It be what it is. No, be what you is, because if you be what you ain't, then you ain't what you be. Words to live by.
Works for something.
Okay. And thank you so much again for coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next week at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And until then, hail Hydra.